Is from Templeton Asset Management. And at the sidelines of the G20 summit, the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, pledged to increase their contributions to the International Monetary Fund. And that comes up to 75 billion US dollars. And this raises the IMF's war chest to 456 billion US dollars to help protect countries from the fallout from the Eurozone debt crisis. But what impact will this actually have in helping resolve the Eurozone's problems? Let's bring in Peter Churchouse, Managing Director of Portwood Capital. He joins us now live from our Hong Kong studios. Peter, great to see you. What are Asian investors thinking right now about what's developing in the Eurozone? Do they believe that they can turn their fortunes around, or are they skeptical that they can resolve their issues?
Well, I think Asians are very concerned about the impacts of, at the very basic level, on trade and the economic growth prospects of Asia. As you know, Europe is Asia's biggest export market, with the US slightly behind. So with Europe going into recession or in recession, and the US growth profile looking pretty shaky, people in this part of the world, I think, are very concerned about growth at the very simple level. And we've been seeing most countries revising their growth forecast downwards very substantially in recent months. So that's going to continue, and I don't think we're going to see people revising upwards for some time yet.
And Asian investors are also closely watching the FOMC meeting in the United States and whether or not the Federal Reserve will agree to extend stimulus measures.
Well, I think if push comes to shove, I think there is a general feeling that both the Eurozone and the US will ride to the rescue with another round of liquidity. Just as we saw in December, the LTRO come out, had a big impact on Asian markets, and we saw a big rally in stock markets in that first quarter of the year.
But Peter, this quantitative easing cannot also be good news for Asia, because this will see an influx of hot money, which would also bring inflation up.
Well, we didn't see a big influx of hot money after the LTRO, that's for sure. We did in the first round of easing out of the US, but less so out of the European round of easing that we saw in December and January. It certainly had an impact on markets, and yes, we are still concerned about asset bubbles and so on in this part of the region of the world. But we have seen asset prices slowing down. We've seen property markets gently gliding lower in markets like China, and certainly in Singapore and so on as well. So the asset bubble problem has probably eased a little bit in the last couple of months following the restrictions put in place last year.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Peter Churchouse, the Managing Director of Portwood Capital, joining us from our Hong Kong studios. Great to see you on the Asia Business Report. Meanwhile, despite these broader economic worries, the wealth of Asian individuals continue to grow. A new World Wealth Report has just been released by management consultancy group Capgemini and the Royal Bank of Canada's Wealth Management Division. It shows for the first time Asia Pacific surpassing North America to become the largest region with high net worth individuals. Much of the growth coming from China, Japan, and Indonesia. For more on this report, we're joined in our studios by Baron Janssens, Wealth Management Executive in charge of emerging markets at the Royal Bank of Canada. Mr. Janssens, thank you so much for joining us. Why are we seeing a growth of high net worth individuals, particularly in China and Indonesia?
Well, while the market capitalization has gone down in 2011 in those countries, they're still very much stimulated by the GDP growth, as well as the clear real estate growth in 2011 and the commodity boom which was happening then. So that has really fueled that growth of net worth individual monies and wealth in 2011. In 2012 we'll see a bit of a change there, very likely, with the real estate pressures and the commodity prices going down.
But quite surprising that Japan remains on this top list of high net worth individuals, given the fact that the economy hasn't really been growing over the past 2 decades.
Well, not only the economy, but also, of course, natural disasters during that year, which clearly have affected the country. But that actually has created a stimulus from the economic side, which actually is being picked up at the higher end of the wealth band. So that's why the overall wealth has actually increased in Japan.
1.6% growth in Asia, while we're seeing less high net worth individuals in North America and Europe. Do you think that this could be sustained given the economic fundamentals in the region?
I think we're looking at a long-term trend. This is not going to change overnight again with North America overtaking Asia again. It's clear that there's fundamentals here in the region which help the high net worth individuals and the ultra high net worth individuals to gain their positions.
And the high net worth individuals in Europe and the United States are now looking to Asia to also increase their wealth.
Correct. So it continues to be a stimulating factor out of Asia. We don't see that changing in the foreseeable future.
What are the red flags for high net worth individuals, given the fact that you have slowing growth and, of course, their portfolios in equity, their equity portfolios and commodities and currencies continue to dwindle as a result of the slowing global economies?
That is true. I think the most of the high net worth individuals actually are taking a wait and see approach. They're very careful right now. And don't underestimate that specifically in Asia, 80% of our clients are entrepreneurs, and they actually have most of their wealth in their own companies. So a lot of that wealth creation is there, which is actually not publicly held equity, but it is privately held equity. So that still is a very big influence on the total return of these high net worth individuals.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Baron Janssens from the Royal Bank of Canada, Wealth Management Executive in charge of emerging markets. Great to have you with us on the Asia Business Report. And with that, we end this edition of the Asia Business Report. Thank you so much for investing your time with us on the program. I'm Rico Hizon. Bye for now.
If we could supply fresh water, this would be the perfect location for the new town.
Using their 3D experience platform, Dassault Systèmes helped prove Georges Mojan's dream of transporting icebergs could become reality. It takes a special kind of compass to explore the world's future possibilities. Dassault Systèmes. If we ask the right questions, we could change the world.
This is the center of Japan's earthquake zone.
From the ground,
you get a sense of just how shattering those events must have been for the people here. Why is it so important that you're here today?
I wanted to be with all the people that have suffered.
The fighting, it doesn't solve anything.
To the studio.
I've reported on this conflict.
It was just horrible.
Thank you for sharing what I know was quite a difficult thing for you to do here in front of millions of people.
Local stories for a global audience. GMT with George Alagaya.
Kazakhstan, the heart of Eurasia.
Every day, we focus on markets across Asia, helping you to see, to understand, and to profit from the vast opportunities that lie behind the true potential of Asia. Profit from us in Asia. Maybank, Kim Eng.
All the latest sports news and results from around the globe. Sport Today on BBC World News.
To PVRs, from gadgets to gaming. We will cut through the hype.
That's all on Click on BBC World News.
Travel the world with Fast Track. From hip hotels to carbon offsetting. From gadgets to last-minute getaways. We'll give you the information, the local knowledge and the inspiration you need. Every weekend here on BBC World News.
Hello, I'm Andrew Graham Dixon, and on this month's edition of The Culture Show, we've got Sculpture by Sir Anthony Caro, dazzling conceptual art by Yayoi Kusama, that beloved Jewish text, the Haggadah, and an encounter with the talented American musical virtuoso, Nico Mooley.